is finally here. A year of waiting has culminated in the release of Oh, not this again. But all jokes aside, XDefiant is out, and I'm going to make this review and get back to playing it because quite frankly, it's exactly what I wanted. It's not perfect, but no game is. But enough of the intro, I want to get back to playing it. So prepare to play matches with no skill-based matchmaking and actually have fun and grab some popcorn as I finally review XDefiant. I'm sure you can tell by my excitement, but I'm having an absolute blast playing XDefiant, so let's keep the same energy as we talk about the positives of the game. And well, should we just get out of the way? The matchmaking is almost perfect. The lobbies don't stay together fully just yet, although they will down the line, but that's my only criticism so far with this system. My KD ratio and win rate has skyrocketed when compared to a certain other franchise. And whilst you could say it's because it's a different game, I would say to that, absolutely not. Because what it is I'm finally free from the shackles of being put in certain lobbies. Obviously, this makes the game more enjoyable naturally because I'm doing better, but it also means that when I come up against a good player, which still happens frequently, I'm more respecting of it. And it brings back that feeling you used to get when playing games, where you think, oh wow, maybe if I play this game enough I could be that good. Replayability is the word I'm looking for here. The variety in the gameplay is boosted when players can use what they want and play how they want, and when the skill levels differ. Once again, it feels addicting to go from match to match, and not having to worry about your next game being sweaty. I can say it for a fact, all of us who have wanted skill-based matchmaking gone were 100% right. Another huge standout part of this game that you'll notice right away is the bright and colourful, unique maps. All are set in creative locations and have a distinct look to them. One game, you might be fighting in an arena, and the next, you might be outdoors in the snow. The variety here is just superb. There are 10 maps for your traditional arena shooter game modes, and they all complement the gameplay well, with a mix of close quarters areas for shotguns and SMGs, longer sightlines for assault rifles and snipers, and even the occasional elevated power position, although verticality isn't really in this game's best interest in terms of map design. In the arena game modes, large maps aren't really a thing, but there's a good mix of both small and medium maps here. The escort game mode contains another 4 larger maps, and again, they follow the formula of bright, unique settings, influencing different styles of gameplay. These maps are akin to something found in Overwatch, with choke points focusing the action on a specific area. And I can definitely see the escort mode in particular becoming a strong favourite in a ranked playlist. Maps are something that as we move into the live service, I just can't wait to see what Ubisoft have in store because they've got so many worlds they can explore, as XDefiant seems to take inspiration from all of them. Imagine a map set in the lands of Kerat from Far Cry 4, or what about in Boston from Assassin's Creed 3? The possibilities are really endless, given this game has outlined from day one that realism isn't the aim here. Now let's get into the weapons of XDefiant. Sadly on launch, there isn't a huge selection, but early on here, I think weapon balance is actually very good. There are standouts. I love the AK personally and I think it's one of the best, but there's other weapons that don't quite match up, like the shotguns for example. Most of them however fall into the same sort of power level, so it's up to you how good you want to make the weapon with the countless attachments in the game. The system takes clear inspiration from Call of Duty's Gunsmith, but XDefiant takes it a step further, showing you detailed stats and how each attachment changes every aspect of your weapon. Another thing I love so far is gone are the long and frustrating challenges to unlock camos, and instead, mastery camos are earned simply by playing, and are more of a showcase of time spent with a weapon. Some people do like the challenges, and to an extent I do too, but in recent FPS games, they've become a chore, and they change the wider player base's playstyle, when in reality, we should be playing the game how we see fit. The weapon levels will provide enough for grinding themselves, and as this game isn't a yearly release, our progress will stay and it will matter in the long term. Challenges aren't gone completely though, as you can still use them to unlock weapons, equipment and faction characters. Again, I like this, because you'll earn them very quickly naturally by playing, and you don't have to change your playstyle, And if you do want to use a particular weapon, then just focus on getting it for one game, and the next game you'll most likely be able to use it. Finally, for the good of XDefiant, I'll make a quick mention of the monetization. As it's a free game, right from the get-go here, Ubisoft has a bit more freedom with the system they go with. Some of the store items are overpriced, but the beauty of it is that you can just ignore it. The gold camo in this game looks amazing, so there's already a reward for playing and not paying. The battle pass is fine, some cool stuff, some filler stuff, and it gives back credits, which I appreciate. It's a standard enough system. It manages to be less obnoxious than a certain other game, and therefore I'm fine with it. Yes, it probably will get gradually worse, but at least this game didn't cost anything on entry. As much as I love this game so far, it's not perfect. So let's talk about some of the things holding it back. I'll start quickly by mentioning some of the performance issues. There was a slight issue with the servers on launch, although they've been good ever since. And there is the occasional hit reg issue, but again, Mark Rubin has said they're working on improvements. In terms of things I'm personally not the biggest fan of, the thing that jumps out to me the most is the abilities. I actually don't mind them being a part of the game. They actually work very well in a game mode like Escort, where they can quickly change the tide of a fight in a matter of seconds. But I feel that in game modes like Domination or Occupy, they can be a little too powerful, and remind me a bit of the Specialists from Black Ops 4, which were easy ways that bad players could get kills. Again, I'm fine with them being here, as they do fit the style of all the different factions, but abilities like the Splinter Cell Ultra feel incredibly overpowered from my initial playtime, and they could do with some slight tweaks. Next for me, given the long delay this game had, I would have liked to seen a few more weapons and maybe even an extra map just to soften the blow of having to wait as long as we did for essentially the same content as the beta. Another big shame for me is the lack of a combat record and the lack of leaderboards. The combat record we have is so basic, which is a real shame because this game has so many moving parts, and given the lack of skill-based matchmaking, I feel way more invested in seeing how I'm doing. I really hope the stats are tracking in the background, like they were for a game like Apex Legends, and then when a combat record is released, it can update accordingly. But no leaderboard means no long-term grind for those who want to be number one, and no way of seeing how you compare against your friends, which takes away a big social element from an FPS game. Luckily, these are things that can all be fixed, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they were just around the corner. But admittedly, it does frustrate me, and I can understand players who want this stuff on launch and don't want to have to wait, and I can understand that perspective given the delay that the game had. Ever since 2019, skill-based matchmaking has seemed to grow in popularity with developers, as they look for new ways to retain players. However, as someone who's been playing FPS games for over a decade, I've come to understand that these systems simply don't work. No matter how they're implemented, they always push away older players and make it harder to join up with friends at different skill levels. XDefiant not only naturally brings in players like me, who don't want to be skill determined by an algorithm in casual modes, but it also keeps me interested with its vibrant maps, varied gameplay, and simple design. It's for these reasons why I give XDefiant a 71 out of 100 score. It's the perfect base, and has all the fundamentals necessary for an FPS game, and it can easily blossom into something special. Now there are some things that hold it back on release, like some of the overpowered abilities, slight technical issues, and lack of combat records. But with a passionate and understanding game lead like Mark Rubin, I do have faith that this game will continue to move in the right direction. A lot of the issues I mentioned are either fixed or will be fixed in the foreseeable future. In terms of long-term content, XDefiant has an extremely exciting roadmap for year one, jammed full with 12 new maps, 12 new weapons, a prestige mode, 4 new battle passes, 4 new factions, new game modes, a ranked mode, and many more additional features. In a year's time, the game could be in a spectacular state, and I'll certainly be returning to see how it's doing, and I'll hopefully be playing it all year as the content releases. I just hope that past year one, XDefiant can continue to progress, even if the player base declines, as there's a game here that will form a passionate player base who will need a sufficient amount of content to keep them going. Hats off to Mark Rubin and the team, and I hope you can continue to develop this great game.